Welcome to the Serendipitous Deck Sermons. It's a series where I am going through different cards that individually came to me over a space of time of my life, and then they came together to form a deck I named the Serendipitous Deck. And I am individually divining each one so that therefore someday I can understand all of their meanings and use them for like readings with multiple cards. But yeah, they kind of have different meanings compared to like numbers that might have been on them or symbolism or whatever. I just caught sight of one of the ones as like a Queen of Hearts, and then on the other side, instead of there being like the back of a card, there's a Jack of Diamonds or something. So that'll be an interesting read. Anyway, I was just like trying to figure out, because I keep thinking like between spades and clubs, what are their like minor arcana equivalents as far as tarot? And hearts are like kind of obviously cups is what I'm assuming. But then I realized that like what is diamonds then? Because like diamonds are used to cut through things. So I feel like that could be a form of swords. Like, because swords cut through things, but also because like, whether you're cutting into something or physically or like in another way, it is communicating with it. And so it is an interaction and could be seen as swords. But then I kind of went like diamonds are earth because like they are sand, and then it's like earth does all the work to compound sand, right? Or rock, and pressure and everything. And like we need to maybe give earth like its props, her props or whatever. So she's diamonds, right? Earth is diamonds. And then clubs, it's like, is clubs the weapon kind, or is it because like the thing that signifies a club is like a shamrock, right? Because a four-leaf clover is a different thing to a shamrock, and a shamrock has three leaves. Pretty sure. I got so confused by that when I was in America because everyone was like, "Oh, the clover." I'm like, I don't think I've seen one of those like ever in the ground. Shamrocks are everywhere though, and there's like the Mother, Maiden, Crone, and like Father, Son, Holy Spirit, whatever. Like there's a lot of triads to religiousness and then also to spirituality in different ways. Body, mind, soul, and a lot of that also ties into like the paganism that was once more prominent in Ireland, and therefore then turned into what could be translated into Catholicism, so that it like easily make people turn away from one and go towards the other, which is how a lot of saints became no, yeah, saints were gods and goddesses previously and were turned into saints. Anyway, I decided that spades would be swords because as much as a sword and a spade are both equally very useful in battle, depending on the kind of battle you're going to, it also is a form of communication, same as like if you're cutting into something. This is not how I normally see communication, as just like it could be equated to someone physically harming something else, but this is what we've been given. Because clubs, I decided I can see like a hurl, which is like the stick, the thing that you play hurling with, in case someone isn't aware of that. Totally look up that sport. It's like the fastest sport on grass or something, I think. I'm just thinking of, I'm thinking of the Clash of the Ash. Like, I'm like, that there should be an alliteration there, but I'm missing it. Anyway, clubs I decided were wands, because a club could also be like a staff, and staff that a wizard or witch might hold is like literally a wand in one way, shape, or form. So this being spades, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, because this being a five of spades in somewhat of an equation would then be I guess there's no page, because the jack would have to be either the page or the knight. Okay, I'm just going on a little bit of a tangent. This would then somehow equate to like the five of swords, but like these cards don't directly correlate to the minor arcana. Also, I don't have an complete deck, if that's the way I was to look at it. It's complete because cards stopped coming to me after a certain point, but that's also because I had found my way very, very consciously to the path they were leading me on, if that makes sense, because it was previous to being like in full meta consciousness of my existence in a human body as a spiritual being. There's more to that, but like it led me from not being conscious of that and making decisions and living in this world unaware of the fact that I'm like, I chose to be here. I'm in this lifetime by choice. In this moment in time, I exist on Earth for a reason. like all of that was come to in a conscious way in multiple layers. Anyone that is also on this journey, and I'm assuming you are if you've kept up to this point in any of the series that I've put out, but like, and we're always, it's not even like in a linear way that we're always growing towards one thing or more consciousness or whatever that is, because it continues to like develop and then also like adapt to life. So healing through certain things really brings you back into your body, and then having to survive within a world that is built on superficiality and capitalism and like creating an environment in which you need and have to survive within it based on a certain level of success or understanding of participation to like have money to therefore kind of pulls us away in different ways from like a spiritual path and maintaining like a balance and a consciousness of both of those things, and also living in a world that is like intensely hurtful sometimes and like very specifically marginalizing certain groups and hurting certain people. And it's like, I don't blame some people for kind of like trying to not be as conscious in a sense, although that just continues to perpetuate the way that we currently live as a species. So yeah, it matters. It matters to continue on a path of consciousness and like maintain that, and your connection with yourself and whatever it is that you view or understand the universe as being, whether that's like God or the divine or angelic connections within or outside of a religion, in any religious form, if it's just a spiritual form, if it's in an atheist way as well. Like, I think that fits very much into an understanding of like, I don't know, there not being a hierarchy, which, you know, once you see and realize that the God or divine is in all things, the hierarchy disappears. And sometimes it's continuous training that one needs to do within their own brain to actually like live in that way, because definitely we live in a world under patriarchy forms literal hierarchies. Like, that's the model under patriarchy, which is not necessarily community based. It is it is a tiered levels of, you know, I guess privilege, but yeah, of like importance or of space given or of whatever it is. And so remembering there is an equalness to all living beings, all beings in general, even if they're inanimate, are like a part of the universe for our reason, whatever their reason may be, and it's not any less or more than anyone else's existence. Or yeah, and who the hell is it to say anyway? So I am going to divine this card off screen. Again, I find that that works because then I don't feel like rushed based on like how much time it's taking, or have to put it through editing software and put music over it or make it go faster or anything like that. And this is a rare occurrence. I'm also filming during the day. I have my altar over here, which is like what do you, not a chest of drawers, set of shelves, but they're upturned, so this should be the bottom of it, but I have a carpet, and this four-legged situation was like wobbling a lot, so I put it on the top of it is just one of these. So it's sitting on that, and I have these pieces that I can stick feathers into. It's a lot of feathers because I'm working with Morgan right now, and these are deceased, well, obviously. These are part of the crow that I found when I went to a oh, what was that kind of yoga? Wasn't it yoga class? It was like a kind of breathing, I can't remember now. But it was really spiritual and beautiful. And before I went in there, right where I parked my bike, I saw a dead bird and was like, "Oh, hello." Like, I thought it was a magpie, and magpies have been showing up to me a lot as like little hellos. That, like, as far as I'm concerned, they are the angelic presence specifically in my life. Now, all these things show up in their own ways, and I don't need it to conform to this like one species of bird or anything. But I've noticed that like the way that I interact with them or whatever, it's mostly kind of an Archangel Michael situation where it's like, hey, you're being watched over. Like, you are not alone. It'll show up individually. And yeah, that's just that my understanding of that bird. And it can have, you know, other ones at different times and stuff. However, to see a dead one right where I was parking my bike and going, oh God, I'm parking my bike in like the city center and I haven't done that in a really long time. And I'm going in here to like a yoga breathing, it was like a very, very low impact, like non-movement thing. So I've had yoga nidra, I think, Nidra. And like throughout all of it, I had to just like calm myself for like, if the bike's not there when I come out, it's not there. This is the world. Like, I can't do anything about it. Um, you know, the bird is there, but the bird is dead. So what does that mean as far as protection? And like all of these thoughts were a part of my brain, does that all the time. Like meaning for this and that, and how do these things connect and correlate? And then I got really into the class and was allowed like and able to just relax. And then towards the end, I mean, throughout all of it in parts, and it would come back into my mind too, I was like, okay, I'm definitely bringing that bird home. Like, I can't just leave it there. What am I going to do? What am I going to wrap it in? Like, it was quite the experience. But I did have a cotton towel thing that I had brought, like, because I thought that maybe the yoga class would be a little bit more sweat inducing, and it ended up not being, so I didn't have to use the towel or whatever. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I have that in my bag, great. It's a natural fiber and everything, I can wrap it in that. And then I was picking it up, and I had to do that in front of a random person who had sat down on a bench like really close to this bird. And before in my life, I would have been like, oh no, I'm just gonna leave the thing and walk away, because like I don't want to be the weirdo picking up a bird that's dead, like leave it be. Or someone will just think that I'm weird. And now it's like, live like, if I'm not hurting people, if you're not hurting people, live however it is. 11:11, I'm saying this, live the way that feels aligned to you, and not based on whether or not someone's going to think you're weird for doing it. Because to be honest, most of the time when people see, now there's like people that make people uncomfortable in public because they're doing something weird but in a way that it feels threatening or whatever, and this isn't necessarily to account to that, but like or to account of whatever. This is about like, oh, like I want to hug a tree right now, but like I'm in the middle of a group of people and they're gonna think, like, you hugging that tree or you doing the thing that you think is like socially weird or whatever it is most likely going to be massively freeing for the people that witness it, because you're changing our social contract to each other, which has gotten way out of hand with the amount of repression that's in it. And like, yeah, think about it that way. So it was just like, all right, someone might, oh God, I have low battery, great. So someone might be freed by the fact that you do that, or they'll think you're a mad weirdo and they don't want to spend time with you. But then great, now there's less people that you have to consider whether or not are actually worth your time or energy, because like, why do you want to hang out with someone that's going to judge you over doing the things that you feel aligned with doing? So you know, it's all up in the end, or better things, whatever. Okay, I'm getting all excited to read this card, so I'm going to do that, and I'll be back. Hello, this is Editing Megan. I am jumping in to let you know, while I have this break here, that on the 8th, I will be opening up my Ko-fi as a place to book different Reiki services and tarot or different card readings. There's some things based with pendulum, but there'll be a description on the site. I'm going to do maybe like 2 services and then add some more after that. But yeah, keep an eye out for that. I will link it below. And I am excited to see you over there, and I will send you back to read, Megan. Okay. Hi again. I know I just paused it, but like I go to a whole other place, and yeah, I'm glad that I pause it sometimes, because it's so much easier to like have my reactions while not being watched, because I feel like it's I don't know. Sometimes I'm able to, and I'll definitely get more comfortable in general, especially if I don't continue to take so long to come back. This used to be a weekly thing that I was doing, and it really helped me to like stay in a good practice. And actually, hearing what this said and these cards come to me like they are an oracle or a tarot. They're more like an oracle card, actually. But you pull one at a certain point in time because it resonates with like what it is you're going through. And sometimes I'm like, most of the time I've been writing what it is, and I'm like, yeah, this is like very much for me, as much as it's like, I'll call it in as if it's like it's for the collective that this will come across. But it will be understood through me, because my perspective and my life path is aligned in one way or shape or form with yours, and therefore we'll understand and hear these words from like fully different ways of life and moments in life, but they are for us. So welcome again to the space. And so as these begin, it's like usually kind of like imagery and numbers and like mostly imagery, and like sometimes it's hard to decipher, and then it's like, I don't know, all of a sudden, and especially when I did it like this with it this time, like a whole message starts to flow out. And so I'm really grateful that it turns into that, because sometimes I'm like, how do these pieces fit together? And then as I'm writing, I'm like, oh my God, it's like including the imagery, but I'm not. And I found the best pens ever for channeling work, because I write really fast and I've written in a way that I like turn, like with the has become one word. So it's WITHE, just shove it together, right? And like if I have an L beside something, it usually just be like an L or a W beside each other. Like the W will just become like a really tall W kind of a thing. They're double V's, but anyway, like it's hard to decipher sometimes afterwards. And like my R's and N's look exactly the same. Um, and it's all cursive, and pens like, what is this? Faber-Castell fine pen 1511 document made in Germany. Interesting. Just flow like the absolute best for it. So I'm glad I'm up here at my desk. Okay, so I was holding this, and initially the song "Take Me Back to the Night We Met" came in my head, and then I kind of realized why it is that I didn't really want to. It's not that I didn't want to do this today. It's just that like when I'm in a certain energy, I'm like, oh yeah, I feel like I could totally like speak with people, get on camera, like record something right now. But then I also remember what it is I've come here to do, which is to channel whatever it is each card has for me. And like, while it's also a kind of like, am I ready to look in a mirror about something that I'm going through moment, it's also like, I don't know, they've had me in tears at times, like, and you know, have become one of the things that I ended up separating the video, because it turned into like this channeled message from like earth energy, and it was like very intense to move through. And that's why I make sure I am grounded beforehand and throughout. And like, yeah, it's something I don't have examples of how to do this, except for that like anyone who's doing psychic work or channeled work or Reiki or like energy work in these kind of ways, like it matters big time. Okay, I have 9% of battery, so let's get on with this. Right. So it's specifically the next line, which was like, I had all of you, some of you, some of you, and then none of you. I can't remember the exact lines, but it was kind of like a, I don't know, it was a poignant start. And I was like, okay, here we go. But then I realized that like my breathing was like, felt really easy, but it was as if like breath was wind, and it was like the air that was outside of me was also inside of me. And I'm like, okay, so maybe the swords dealy that I was talking about earlier is kind of going on here. And in this way where, okay, so the shape that I drew, will it show up? Oh, no, okay, that's gonna be too hard. So it's like this shape, kind of like how a tree is drawn, but then like on the waist of that tree, there's like hands holding it, like really, really solidly holding it. So tightly held at the sides, supported, while you're breathing. Like, yeah, there's this element of support throughout the whole thing, which is important to notice, because there is a certain point where it got kind of like harsh, but like straightforward. But in case you're in a very sensitive mindset, I did try to write it as kindly as possible, but I also don't want to compromise what it is that's coming through. So, just be warned. So then I got like imageries of the like really thick layers of like moss that are between or beneath like the kind of flow of a really low creek. And then when I held it to my third eye, and I held it that direction, which I just went to do again, which is interesting that it keeps turning sideways, because I don't think any of them have done that before. A white band of like, I don't know that it was even light or like ribbon or anything, but it was like this like white band just felt like it was there around my head. And then there was like blue airiness like coming in through the back third eye. And then, okay, hands outside. Right, so then I held it like this. And once I did that, I felt like there were these hands outside of my hands, like holding my hands in a prayer position. Like, it's all just like so, this like unseen support energy that's about it. So know that like that is available to you, and it will become more apparent in what kind of way that fits into the message. But like, when I'm reading these, I'm like, what's gonna go on with the message here or whatever, like, yeah, okay, whatever, I'll just keep reading it. Cool water, supported, and safe. Fire. Those are elements that I'm feeling, right? And then I got this like really strong feeling of like fire breathing, and I'm like, how does that fit in with any of this, right? But then Fire breathing turned into like, I asked, like, what are you doing here? That's hot. That's air. It is air. But it's like, what has fire got to do with this, right? And it's like, the fire turned into like someone that is fire breathing is like speaking few words, but like each one, what did I write? But carefully chosen words. Like each one packs a punch and stays with you. Um, creating, oh yeah, and then that, like, those words I felt like were surrounding me, creating this fort of protection. But it was specifically like, if I was the fire breather, the words that I am saying outwards are creating a fort of protection around someone else. um and like, there is a use of magic and comforting and knowing in your magic. And then I got the numbers 4, 5, 6, 7. And then the feeling of like sleeping on a silky pillow, while again with this energy of like support, where it's like there's like the feeling of being spooned. Like there wasn't necessarily another person in the imagery or anything. It's more just like the universe, which makes sense for later. But like there's just this like protective feeling, right? And then and then it got real, because I was like, okay, this is what's happening. I'm feeling it softening me. It's asking for my vulnerability. Like something is trying to hold me and protect me and tell me it's okay. And I wasn't necessarily denying it because I was channeling this message, but I also realized, like, in my actual life, there's like, I have such a tendency towards independence. And I know a lot of us do. Um, and so it's like difficult when something not even demands, but is asking for our vulnerability. I'd say submission, but like that has connotations. I guess it's like placing your trust in the universe and such things like that. But this specifically, the wording is like, I feel it wanting me to soften into it and like softening me, and it's asking for my vulnerability. Okay. Then it started to flow a bit more. So, cut through the bullshit in your own mind. Okay, go through the bullshit in your own mind. Center of the body. Like, so something was like cutting through everything that is like flanking the center focus, that is asking you to place focus on or whatever, right? Center of the body while you're physically safe in your. Oh, yeah, this was a helpful, like, how do I get there? While you're physically safe in your sheets, you're well fed, you're relieved in all of the bodily ways that might, distract from something listening to the inside. Oop, I forgot the microphone was there. So, like, in every way, your physical form, and I guess mental form and stuff like that is catered to, right? What is still standing out? In that moment, what is still standing out? What matters to you? And build from there. So, it's like next steps. Oh shit. Okay, next steps is what it's asking for, but not to overwhelm, but only in the comfort and the darkness. Is there sometimes a clarity of what it is that your soul needs, what you still haven't fed yourself? Who or what is missing? Okay. What steps, no matter how scary by the light of day, are to be taken to move towards this answer? Sometimes the how is up to the universe, but this card is very like, but you are on a team here, okay? Don't forget. What can you take part in, change, or stop, or put energy towards that supports this thing that your soul is asking you for? Do you need to step into your provider energy for yourself? As you maybe see here, as you maybe see where you've been denying or mistaking what this thing is and giving to yourself in the wrong way, do not be anything but gentle in coming to a way of course correction. We do what is best until we realize otherwise, and then we adapt. But admit it when the direction you go no longer serves you. Okay, but admit it when the direction that you are going no longer serves you. Again, cut through the BS, as it were. Use, what is it? Use of time in serving. Oh yeah, cut through the BS use of time in serving your pride, and instead be an example of compassion, patience, and understanding to yourself, and just switch it up. Or, now this is for those of you, or if you've been knowing this soul calling and aren't taking steps you already know are necessary, the ones in, oh yeah, the steps that are within your control, then why? And it was very specific in a why full stop or period. It was not why question mark. So this is not necessarily a card that is here to like actually ask you why. It's like, ask yourself why, but like do that in your own time, because what I am asking you to do is take the steps of 4, 5, 6, and 7. Like 1, 2, 3 have already occurred, right? Your soul knows what it wants. You are listening to your soul. Now what? Kind of. Okay. Okay, and know any answer. This is that, yeah, this is like stuff I probably wouldn't say, but it just bear with me. And know any answer that you give as the why is a bit of an excuse, and while valid, the why matters only as much as you want it to. And maybe therapy, and this is like a little bit of me adding it in, like maybe therapy helps understand the why better so that it doesn't continue to stop or distract you in the future. It allowed me to write that in. But anyway, but I think you already know all there is to know. And I think that you are denying the beginning or continuation of the path. Do not forget that you are seen. You are witnessed. That's by the universe, by the way, in case that freaks anyone out. That is like, you are witnessed by the divine, right? Imagine or by your guides and guardians or ancestors, or whatever wording helps you to understand that. Imagine the sword. Oh, I love this bit so much. Okay. Imagine the sword that cuts through the BS, as it were, is actually a hug. Okay? It's a hug that shuts you up, or shuts up the inner you. It's a hug that supports you so strongly that you move in this world now, knowing that you are protected as you follow a soul-led path. Walk like you remember every moment of every day that the universe is on your bloody side. Yeah, it actually had a curse in there, so there's that. You are got. Now, go get it. So yeah, that's all I allowed. I like cut it off. I'm like, all right, that's enough. That's enough for people. So I guess you done heard. Now I'm just gonna like actually film the back and the front so that I have full records of like coming back to these cards, because I'll write 5 of spades and then I find out that I have like multiple 5s of spades or something, because again, while it's not a complete deck as far as a deck of cards or tarot or anything, it is absolutely my complete deck as far as the Serendipitous deck wanted it to be. Okay, so that's everything for this week. Yeah, like I want to do, that's why I put up 2 before. I'm like, you know what, I'm in the mood to put up more than 1. But I liked the consistency, like it kept me in a good spiritual place. So I pulled cards for myself, and that's the card for this week. So if that's all that you came for, I hope you have a lovely week, or whatever amount of time it is until I talk to you in your ears again. Could be a few minutes if you go listen to one of the other videos, but like I pulled cards recently that like I guess led me to do this today. I really didn't connect it with the 2, like, because I have a practice of faith and of trust that has come into question lately, like not by others, just that like in what ways can I like renew or upgrade the way that I am practicing my spirituality? so that it's not something like, there's daily routine things that help keep me like in a good mind space. And that's kind of a balance of like how I treat my physical self, mental self, spiritual self. Um, but there's also a need to like enhance it, because there's things like, sure, I could do like a tarot read every day, but I don't necessarily need or want that guidance all the time, because I do find like it is healthy to listen to my own self or my guides or whatever signs the universe is already giving me. And it's okay to ask as many times as you want to a deck or whatever ways that, like, there's no judgment about that. It's more like a personal thing of, I'm already getting this information. Because whenever I pull a card, I'm like, yeah, I knew that. And it does like help to, I guess, in certain ways, like confirm things. Um, but I would like to get to a point where I also believe what it is that I'm seeing and experiencing and feeling in my gut, where I don't need external confirmation. Now, that'll always come to and fro. I'm okay with asking for that. It's not like I want to get to a point where I never have to ask the deck again or something like that. Because like, I don't know if you can, no, you can't. They're down here. I have like many a deck. I absolutely love tarot and oracle cards. And I mean, the fact that like these have come to me, there is just like such a strong card Megan connection in this lifetime. And it's like, oh yeah, I don't know if I've ever said it before. My name was decided on a coin flip, which now I know from the Community TV show also created like a dual parallel timeline, that like, another version of me exists, except for with the name, a different name, which is getting turned into a book someday. So just, hold out for that at some point. But the cards that came out were like this beautiful thing of like the Ten of Pentacles sat on the other side of the Lovers to the Page of Swords reversed. And it's like there was this like ultimate abundance and practice, and like even Ten of Pentacles being something where it's like you are in a place of such abundance and like success in certain ways. But when it came to like me asking about specifically faith-based matters, like, and practice, and it's like, in what ways can I like adapt or change this, or what do I need to know about my practice right now? And it had this like, and the Lovers was there, and it took me a second, but I realized like the Lovers is two beings in balance, in unity, in like dual, like using kind of in a basic form, both the masculine and feminine energies within oneself. Or it could represent a choice, or it can represent a relationship and stuff like that. But 6 is a number of balance. It is also a number of unconditional love, but for me it so often is like pulled, and it's like, ooh, the Lovers, and it's like, yeah, but it also comes right after the Hierophant in the major arcana, which kind of shows it more as like you've hit a place of like understanding of like commitment to. Hierophant being like, is standing like, it's a very faith-based card. And so it's like you have like come to a place where you're very comfortable and you know everything you need to know. Ten of Pentacles, you have everything that you need. You're in a place that you're actually able to share it now. And then on the flip, like in the center is the Lovers, and on the other side is the Page of Swords reversed, which is like a denial of a form of communication, right? Or like there's ways in which you're called to like share or do something, but like there's either something blocking you from that, or a part of you that's blocking you from that, or there's a denial of this like flow of particularly a form of expression. And like, is it because of, you know, lack of confidence in what it is that you have to say, or is it just because you're like scared, or like all these questions, which is like exactly the place that I'm sitting in right now. Like, it's like, oh, okay, I knew that, and here comes the card showing me. And then on the bottom was the Eight of Swords. Wasn't that read? I did a couple today, where like the Eight of Swords upright is you can be free at any moment. You are in, like, it's an 8 as well, right? So it's like you are in your own little cycle of victimhood can be seen from it, but in this case it's more like,
so that actually was my phone dying. So I'm now going to finish that thought and then send you over to Goodbye Megan at the end of this video. Um, the Eight of Swords had a show for me at the bottom of the deck being that it is my choice. And the fact that there is like a grounded share with others abundance in the Ten of Pentacles on the other side from the Lovers, which is a choice, to the Page of Swords, which is reversed, which is like a blockage of sharing what you know and information, and yeah, it was like a reminder that, especially with it being about a kind of faith-based question, as far as like my own practice and stuff, it's like a reminder that in every moment, in every day, you can make a choice about this. And yeah, there are bigger choices like opening yourself up to do like, in person, well, personalized practices, because the things that I'm offering are going to be virtual for the time being, but like there are things that you can go towards and then feel like, oh, I have to make that choice just one time. But you actually make the choice continuously to show up, to be a part of that. And I think understanding that is something that also helps with us kind of see that there's a lot more fluctuation in everyday life and even moment to moment or whatever that we can allow within ourselves and be a bit more kind. And also we can allow, in the greater scheme of like the world, because it allows us space to then be surprised, be open minded. Like everything's not the same all the time. And that's kind of the beauty of life. Change is the only constant. And like, adaption and stuff helpful as well, but specifically when it comes to that read, it was a cool one, because then it led me to just be like, okay, like, what is it that I'm going to choose to do today? And then it's not like I'm having to choose something for like days in advance. It's just right now, what can I do right now, sort of thing, which I think leads us back a little bit to what that five of spades also had to say. So best of luck on that journey for you, and I hope those questions resonate and bring you some clarity and hopefully some comfort. It was seemingly harsh when I was writing it, but then when I was listening back in the edit, I'm like, oh, nah, it's just kind of like saying it as it is. So, depends how it hits your ears, I guess.
Okay, well, that's gonna do it. Thank you so much for coming to this video of the Serendipitous Deck Sermons with the Five of Spades. If you feel called to or vulnerable enough, and you would allow that, I would love to know what it is that your soul is calling for you to do, with no judgment in the comments. Like, allow this to be a place of support for each other in revealing something like that so close to our heart. And yeah, I will see you next time. Thank you so much again, and I love you.